Hey, kia ora. Helen Brown, Second Year Live from Sun City in Arizona. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1200 and, oh, did I change that? 55? Yes, I did. Awesome. For some reason I looked at the number and go, I don't recall changing the number on today's call, but we have some really cool news. So our topic tonight is what's new with US passports. I was reading an article about changes that are happening in 2023 for travelers. And one of the changes is US passports. But before we get to that, there's other things like if you're going to be visiting, there's going to be visitor fees to travel to Europe. And it's, where was it? If you're a non-EU citizen between the ages of 18 and 70, you pay an entry fee of €7 or $7.25. And you pay it once, and then you can travel within the multiple countries that's part of that period for a 3-year period. The other one that has to do with Europe too is effective of May of 2023, Europe will have a new entry-exit system that will register non-EU travelers' biometric data, facial images and fingerprints, personal information, and entry and exit dates. So they will be able to get a more accurate thing for people who are crossing borders and flag those who overstay. So be on the lookout for those if you're visiting Europe. But the cool part is that after some successful testing last year, the US State Department is now issuing passports online. I'm like, yes! I don't have to worry about mine till another 3 or 4 years. But the cool part is that you're able to put your application in online. I did this the last time I renewed in 2018 when I had to renew my New Zealand passport. I did it online and had my passport really, really fast. So I was able to apply online from here in the States and give the names of people who were not family that could verify that I am who I am, and that they knew me. They knew I was born and raised in New Zealand, and my passport arrived very, very quickly. And so I was like, other countries should get on board with this because I was just renewing my passport. So it was very easy to do. They already had the information. So being able to do it online was so much better. There was no lines I had to go stand in or things like that. Now the US state government has now started issuing passports online, but it doesn't, with the US passports application online, it is no faster to get your new passport than if you had to go and make the appointment at the post office and all that stuff, and application in person, application by mail. No difference in time period of getting your passports issued. It is not going to make it any quicker. It just makes it easier on you to be able to do it online. And they're saying that the turnaround time will remain 6 to 9 weeks. So the current turnaround time on renewing your US passport is 6 to 9 weeks. And 5 weeks for expedited processing. And the fees remain the same. So there's no different on the fees. The only thing is that it's actually saving you time because you're not having to go stand in lines and having to mail in all that documentation and everything else that's required. You can do it all online now. So this is why it is important that you check the expiration date for your passport as soon as possible, because if you're planning any trips, you want to make sure. Now, there's a lot of countries that have countries and cruise lines. If you have less than 6 months validity on your passport, you may not be able to be allowed to enter the country or get on the cruise ship, because they have most of the cruise lines and a lot of countries, you are required to have 6 months validity on your passport. Some are from the date you leave, some are from the date you return from your trip. So I always take from the date that you leave as my date to use. But so go look at your passports. If it's going to be expiring in the next 6 months, get your applications in now, especially if you're looking at traveling internationally later this year. 6 to 9 week turnaround time on passports right now. So you want to get that renewed as soon as possible, because it doesn't look like they're doing any more of the expedited overnight passports right now. 5 weeks for an expedited passport. I don't know if that can be souped up to anything quicker or not. But in the description below is the link that you need to go to access the information to renew your passport if you already have one. And there's also a tab there if you are a new passport, if you're applying for the passport for the first time. But if you already have a passport, go to the link that's in the description below, and that will take you to the state government website, which has all the information about applying for a passport by mail, applying for a passport online. And remember, it takes 6 to 9 weeks. So 6 to 9 weeks, you're looking at almost, you're looking just over 2 months, almost 3. So if you're looking at traveling this year at any point in time, please make sure your passport is up to date, because there is nothing worse than getting to the airport and being declined a boarding flight because your passport is due to expire within 6 months and the country you're going to has a 6-month deadline. And there are a few countries that have 3 months, but don't push it. Please don't push it. You've spent all that, because the insurance companies will not refund your fees if you miss a flight because your paperwork is not in order. If you are denied boarding on a plane or a cruise ship or anything like that, your travel, because of the paperwork is incorrect, your passport is due to expire, you don't have the right visas, if you're required to show vaccination certificates and you don't have those, all of that stuff, if you don't have all of that paperwork together, you can be denied boarding on your method of transportation for your vacation, be it plane, be it cruise ship, be it trains, not so much trains, but planes and cruise ships. You can be denied boarding and your insurance does not cover you, because it is your responsibility to ensure that your travel documents, visas, passports, vaccination records, all of that stuff that they need is compliant. And it's very easy to find out what the compliance are. You just go to the country. If you're going to a different country, go to their website and have a look. Every country has a website that is designed for visitors. If you are visiting our country, it's done by the governments of this country. This is what you need to know. If you are going through a cruise line, check the cruise lines. I was just checking in for, I've got a cruise coming up in February. I was just checking in on that. When I was checking in on that, I was checking, what do I need to do? Because I'm a person that cannot be vaccinated. So because I can't be vaccinated, what are the requirements that I have to make sure are done so I can get on board the cruise ship? Fortunately, the cruise line does not have, the cruise line I'm going on does not require you to have, they strongly recommend you're vaccinated, but if you're not vaccinated, you're still allowed on board the ship. And they don't have any testing. But depending which country the cruise ships are going to, they may require testing. They may require you to have vaccinations based on where you're traveling. And on this, you put in you put in your booking number, you put in your name, you put in the date departure and all of that. And it came back and it told me that I don't need to do anything. I just need to show up with the cruise line and get on board the ship. And I'm like, that's awesome. But I did also go through, this is the other thing with cruise lines too, is make sure you read the passage contract. There's a thing that you have to sign to say that you've read it, you understood it. You need to go through and read that, because their policies can change, especially when it comes to COVID. They can change their policies very, very quickly. So I'm constantly keeping an eye on that. So I actually downloaded their contract and I searched for COVID, went through, read all the bits that had the COVID thing in it. Then I went back and I put in face masks and read all the bits that they had on face masks. Am I required to wear them and all this blah, 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 blah. So now I am more informed. And then I checked other areas of the contract as well and basically did a quick read through. But there were certain areas I have to be cautious about because I cannot be vaccinated. And this is especially if I'm going to foreign countries. Now, some countries don't require you to have vaccinations. Some countries do. So you need to be aware of that. And it is not up. Your travel professional will keep you informed of changes like this. And that is a sign of a good travel professional. If you've got a travel professional that you're working with and they are really good, then they will be keeping an eye on this stuff for you. If your travel professional isn't, but it's also up to you to make sure that you are educated on this as well. So please make sure your passport is up to date. That's number one. Make sure if you are leaving the country to go anywhere that you check to see what their requirements are as far as COVID goes and vaccinations and things like that. And what else was there? I had something else. Oh, I think that was it. Sorry. Oh, no, I know the other one. The other link I have there for you is for STEP. And STEP stands for Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. This is a program that is done by the US state, by the state government, by the State Department. The state, and it's very easy, step.state.gov. You go there if you are traveling internationally, enroll in the program. This program is designed to keep you informed, keep you connected. It says stay informed, stay connected, stay safe. Basically, if you are going to an international country, you enroll with them, you get information on where the nearest embassy is to you. And not only that, should there be like a coup, a national disaster, anything that threatens your safety within that country, they know how many Americans they have to get out of there. They know how many Americans are in country, and they know how to contact them because it will ask for your contact information. And if there is a natural disaster or anything like that, friends and family will be able to get in touch with, and it'll help friends and family get in touch with you as well. So this way you're registering with the consulates or the embassies within the countries that you're visiting, so that they know that you're there. And if in the case of any disasters or anything else, they can come in and help you get out of the country. I always, before I do any traveling, even if it's just going on a cruise ship, I'm in there and I'm registering every time. And there is also, they also have an app. I can never remember the name of the app. Where's my travel box? There's my travel box. So there is also an app called, where'd it go? Hang on. Jeepers, I can't even read my apps there. Smart Traveler. And if you go to Smart Traveler, you can go in there and they also have travel warnings for different countries as well. So I'm in Smart Traveler right now. I'm just going to swoop. And Malaysia. We'll pick Malaysia. It's got there that it's at a status 1, just exercise normal precautions. They've got a thing there where you can click to go for where the embassies and the consulates are. They've got a destination description. Entry, exit, and visa requirements are on there. Safety, security, local laws and special circumstances, health, travel, and transportation. Those are all the things that you can see. I'm trying not to get the reflection of my screen on it, but it's a hang on, let me get out of here for a moment. But it's this icon right here. It says Smart Traveler. Whoops. And you go in there, and you've got countries. You've got STEP, which is that Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. And then you even have advisories. So if you click the advisories, one is, and they give you the color codes for the different countries. And the red ones are do not travel. The 3 is like, we advise you not to go there, but it's completely up to you. It's reconsider travel. Number 2 is exercise increased caution. And they've actually got 19 countries listed as do not travel. They have 34 countries listed as reconsider travel. 67 countries exercise increased caution, and 92 countries exercise normal precautions. So in the do not travel one, they have Afghanistan, Belarus, Burma, Central African Republic, Haiti, Iran, Iraq, Libya, Mali, North Korea, Russia, Somalia, South Sudan, Syria, Ukraine, Venezuela, and Yemen. Those are the 19 countries that got on the do not one. But if on the step one, you can sign into your existing account. You can do the registration here rather than going to the website. You can do it all through the app. So it is a great one for that. And then you can just pick the countries that you're going to go visit, and it will tell you what cautions and everything else. And great. And the other thing is that if you're going by a cruise ship, they will they look ahead to see what travels. They will even avoid ports of call if there is unrest in the country. So sometimes, and in the passage contract, it says in there that they have the right to change the itinerary. And most of the time that they change the itinerary is because there is something going on in the country and they want to make sure the passengers are safe. So they're going to avoid that port of call because of whatever's going on in the country at the time means that it may not be safe for their passengers to disembark at that port. So the cruise lines are very conscious of that sort of stuff as well. So those are my 3 things for you tonight is check your passport expiration date. Make sure you've got more than 6 months validity on it. Get it renewed as soon as possible. There is a link down there for passport renewals. It will take you straight to the state.gov website about passport renewals. And from there, you can pick if you want to do it by mail, if you want to do it online, and how to do it online. And remember, the processing for passports right now in the US is 6 to 9 weeks. That is why if your passport is expiring in 2023, just go get it done right now. And the prices are all the same whether you're doing it by mail or in person, by mail or by online. That's the same pricing, and at the same processing time. But then I look at it this way. I'm like, well, if I'm doing it by mail, it means I don't have to get all that information together. I don't have to put it into an envelope. I don't have to go down to the post office to post it. So it's actually saving me time if I can do it online. And I will tell you this, doing it online for my New Zealand passport when I did it in 2018 was so fast. And the New Zealand government had it together. Because it was actually funny because when I went to get my photograph taken, because if I have dual citizenship, just people are going, but hang on, you're talking about US passports, New Zealand passports. I have dual citizenship with New Zealand. And so when I fly down to New Zealand, I enter on my New Zealand passport and I exit on my US passport and enter into the US on my US passport. It's what they allowed me to do at the time when I got my citizenship. So I was like, I'm not going to argue. But when I went in and I went into this photography store that was near where I was living at the time and said, okay, I need to do a New Zealand passport photo. And they were able to look it up online because different countries will have different sizes of photographs and different how much white space you have to have around the head and whether you're allowed to smile or not. Which for this girl, when they tell me not to smile, yeah, that ain't going to happen. They say, oh, you're not allowed to smile. I go, okay. And start laughing. I remember in one DMV, they had to take 4 pictures before they got one that was acceptable. And I'm still smiling in it. But it was the one with the least amount of smile. And it was the straightest face I could pull for them. And I'm just like trying to stay serious about the whole thing. But sorry, the sparkles just don't allow that. And so I told them that they said, oh, they were and they were actually from Australia. So we were talking about passports. Oh, I'm actually applying online. I'm able to renew it online. And they're like, really? I said, yeah. They go, oh, we can't do that for Australia. And so I went back 3 weeks later and said my passport's arrived. So from when I submitted my passport for New Zealand, 3 weeks later here in the US, I had my new passport. And I was like, what? So maybe the US passport system will get there. But right now, it doesn't matter if you do it online or via mail. It's still 6 to 9 weeks to get your passport renewed. Up to it's 5 weeks if you want an expedited passport. So look at your passport, look at your dates. If it's going to expire in 2023, just go ahead and get it done now. That way you are done. And you know that if any trip comes up that you want to do, and you know that your passport is good and that it's not going to be less than that 6-week window that a lot of countries and cruise ships require to have on the passports for validity. And like I said, the other one there is the STEP program for when you're traveling overseas. It's been a good, I mean, I haven't taken it off my phone. I use it every time I travel internationally. Put in there where I'm going. You can even put in your travel information as well. But it's just so that they know how to contact me. Where am I going to be staying? What's the phone number? What hotels I'm going to be staying at? So it's a way that if anything happens in country, they know which Americans are in country, and they can, and you can either contact the embassy will contact you, whichever way around is, and help you get out of there if need be, for like natural disasters, coups, and all that other stuff. So it's a good program to enroll with. And then, of course, that STEP program has the things where it's got all of the information regarding visas and for the different countries. Is it safe to travel there? They have all that information there at your fingertips. And even though if you are working with a travel professional and the travel professional is part of their job, will as part of the services they provide, will tell you what documentation and everything you need. But ultimately, it is your responsibility to ensure that you have all the correct paperwork that is needed for you to either get on the plane to leave or to get on the ship to leave. And the airlines and the cruise lines can deny you boarding if your paperwork is not correct. I always make sure I have everything in hand. I have copies of them on my phone, of all the documentation and everything else. I have a document carrier that I put everything into, that I always carry with me. It has my passports in there. It has all my ticketing information. Even if everything's electronic, I print hard copies, so I have them with me in case. And through my franchise cruise planners, we have the My Trips, and I upload into My Trips all my travel documentation. All my itinerary is listed there as well. Everything that I'm doing is listed in that itinerary, so I also have access to it online as well. Copies of my passport are in there as well, and it's in my profile. It's called My Trips. And if you have a cruise planners travel professional, talk to them about My Trips, because they will have in there all your travel documentation, your itineraries. They will have information there on visas required, if required, and that sort of thing as well. So stay in constant communication with your travel. But remember, it is your responsibility to take care of making sure you have the correct paperwork with you for when you go to board a ship or board a cruise line. And board a ship or a cruise line. When you board a cruise ship or board a plane, and if you are denied boarding, your travel insurance will not cover having the incorrect documentation. If you are denied boarding because of incorrect documentation, you are not covered under your travel insurance. So keep that in mind when you're doing that. But that's what I have for you tonight. Oh, we got comments, lots of comments. Thank you for the information. You're welcome, Julie. Would you be present? Well, we might have to talk about that one. And Kathy's, make sure you know where your embassy is. Yes, absolutely. Have you Mexico on yours? They just added it to ours. So I know Kathy's in Canada, and they just got Mexico added to theirs. And let me have a quick look here. Mexico. Yeah, it's gotten a 3, reconsider travel. And you can go through and you can see the state summaries and all of that sort of thing. And again, if you've got cruise lines going to Mexico, if you've got trips planned to things like the Mexican Riviera or Cancun, you can go and you can have a look, see what areas that is mostly affected by these things, and then make your informed decision. Talk with your travel professional about it. When you get alerts that come up like that, talk to your travel professional about it, and see, where is it happening. And if you go to Cancun, or if you go to the Mexican Riviera, or if you go down to Baja California Peninsula, if you go down there into those areas, are you going to be affected by what's going on down there? So be informed, stay informed, make sure your paperwork's up to date, and finally, go check your passport expiration dates. And if you're traveling to Europe, they're starting to charge a fee to go into the country. So ask your travel professional about the EU visa prices, payment visa things that they're doing. And the other one was in May. In May 2023, they're going to start doing facial recognition, fingerprints, that sort of, and all your travel information as well. So just be aware of that. But anyway, go check your passport. That's the next thing. As soon as we get off here, go check your passport expiration date to make sure that it's not going to expire this year. If it is expiring in 2023, please go get it done as soon as possible, so you get it back as soon as possible, so you can go traveling as soon as possible. That's it from us for this evening. Have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we will catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Hei konera.